here's where I am currently on the Moogle polystyrene drawing project. When I didn't work on finishing the outlining for the back side of the project, which for today I outlined these sort of what can best be described as flaps of either flesh or something to do with the wings or fur that I saw in the reference images I have of the GIF of a Moogle that serve as the basis for the reference images for that I use for this project. And based off what I've done so far, I decided to put these flesh flaps ahead of the wings on the backside, since it's the opposite case on the front side, which I'm pretty much done with. I just have to do some shading for the clouds in order to make them look more like actual clouds. I recall I used these Sharpie markers throughout today's work on the Moogle polystyrene drawing project, which I recall doing in 2 periods of some work on the project. One in the late afternoon, roughly around 3 to 4 p.m., and another period that was more towards the evening. This is some of a thin pizza with what looks like cup char pepperoni. And black olives that my dad got while at Salvatore's tonight. It's enjoyable pizza. Around 6:15 in the morning. I had with my first cup of plain coffee a Danish, I believe, a kind of cheesecake Danish that my dad got from the Salty Bread the other day. That Danish was pretty delicious. I recall having 3 full cups of plain coffee. from 6:15 in the morning to about 8 in the morning. Then around 1:15 p.m. I had some pasta that my dad's mom prepared, and then gave to my dad for us to have. While my dad was visiting his mother. My dad prepared that bowl full of some of the leftover pasta. The pasta that was given to us. He prepared that bowl during the morning. And he added in the sprinkled cheese. And I cut up a link of sausage he provided to go with it. I sliced the sausage link using a knife sharper than a butter knife. And that was on a sort of cutting board on one of the kitchen counters. And then I recall microwaving everything after adding the sausage. For a total of 2 minutes. I recall first a minute and a half. And then an additional 30 seconds afterwards. I had that pasta with a glass of whole milk. Like I'm having currently, only in a different glass. Plastic glass. The windows upstairs here are currently closed. Or at least I recall they're closed. Though I'm pretty sure of this. The curtain door is currently open. And with that being said, it currently feels room temperature in here. And has throughout all of today. I recall editing and uploading the March 13th, my dinner video, during the last hours of today. During that period of time. Yeah, I recall falling asleep for a few hours. During the mid to late morning hours. And I recall waking up around 12:30 p.m. I don't recall sleeping today prior to that point. I also recall briefly sleeping from about 6:15 p.m. 6 p.m. is the earliest start time to 6:45 p.m. This occurring after deciding to lie down on my bed or perhaps more accurately mattress within my upstairs room. I recall primarily playing through my current rotation of games on Congregate, most notably Random Number God Idol, as I feel this run with the final goal of reaching 500 deep runes, I'll reach the goal of 500 water runes necessary to get the hard badge and the final badge for this game before I get to 500 deep runes. I had to put in some time, at least an hour, over coming back a number of times to ultimately get to this point. That's what I primarily did outside of the periods in which I laid down on my bed, of which there were roughly 4, if I recall correctly, and about half of those periods that resulted in me falling asleep. I recall at one point during the afternoon hours bringing down 3 different coffee mugs, kind of one at a time, because I had some dishes to also bring down to the kitchen sink. But everything's been taken care of.